In 1995, Jake Walker sat in his Kenworth, the engine rumbling softly at a Flying J off Interstate 70. He was loaded with machine parts and headed for Cincinnati. Just a few minutes later, he climbed back into the cab, pulled out of the lot, and was never seen again. No collision, no wreckage, no body was ever found. The insurance company settled the $700,000 claim after 8 months of fruitless searching. His wife, Sarah, was told he had likely run off to start a new life. Small-town whispers suggested there was another woman. His daughter, Olivia, grew up believing her father had abandoned them. Then in October of 2015, a quarry in Ohio began draining for a major industrial expansion. 30 feet down, construction crews discovered a 1987 Kenworth, perfectly preserved in the airless water. Jake was still strapped into the driver's seat. The medical examiner found the bullet hole almost by chance, a small caliber shot to the back of the skull, hidden under 20 years of lake sediment. But it was the receipt in Jake's jacket that changed everything. 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, time-stamped 11:47 p.m. Jake never bought 2 of anything. Someone else had been in that truck. Someone who knew precisely which quarry had not been in use since 1978. Someone who could wait 2 decades for their perfect crime to be revealed. Olivia Walker was going through paint samples at Lakeside Hardware when her phone rang. An unknown number with a local area code. She almost didn't answer it, thinking it was just another sales call, but something made her thumb hit accept. Olivia Walker speaking. "This is Detective Kyle Grant," the voice on the other end said. "I need you to sit down." Olivia let out a sharp, wrong-sounding laugh. "I'm at work. What's this about?" "We found your father." The paint samples slipped from her hand. Cerulean blue, desert sand, rust red. They fanned across the linoleum like playing cards. 20 years of learning to say, "My father left when I was 8, without a single flinch. 20 years of a practiced indifference, all gone in 4 words. "That's not possible," she said. "His truck was in a quarry? The one they're draining for the new industrial park?" The words came out flat and hollow. "No. My father drove away. November the 8th, 1995. He left us." "Ma'am, I need you to come to the medical examiner's office," Detective Grant said patiently. "Is Sarah Hayes still your mother?" "It's Sarah Hayes now. She remarried." Olivia's legs felt weak. She sank onto a paint can. "You're wrong. He left. The insurance company said, 'Please come to the county building. Your mother is already on her way.'" Olivia drove the 12 miles on autopilot. The county building sat on Main Street just as it always had, a squat, brown brick structure with small windows. She had been there once before, at 16 years old, for a drunk driving charge that was ultimately reduced to reckless operation. It was a different sheriff back then. Detective Grant had been a young agent, one who had worked on her dad's case. The medical examiner's office was in the basement. The fluorescent lights hummed, and everything smelled of industrial disinfectant, a futile attempt to mask something worse. Her mother, Sarah, sat in a plastic chair, still wearing her Target vest. At 52, Sarah Hayes looked nothing like the 32-year-old Sarah Walker, who had waited by the phone for 3 months. That woman had been replaced by someone who had learned not to wait for anything. "Mom," Olivia said softly. Sarah looked up. Her face was strange, not sad but more confused. "They're saying it's Jake. It can't be." Detective Grant came through a side door. He was older now, his belly straining his uniform. But Olivia remembered him from her dad's case, a young, eager deputy who took notes in a little book. "Mrs. Hayes, Miss Walker, thank you for coming," he said. "How do you know it's him?" Olivia heard herself ask. "Dental records match. VIN number on the truck matches." His wallet was in his pocket. Grant sat across from them, his hands folded. The truck was 30 feet down, perfectly preserved in the quarry water. An airless environment prevented the decomposition of most materials. "I don't understand." Sarah's voice was small. "He left us. The insurance investigator said he probably went to Texas. There was that woman in Cleveland." "There was never any woman in Cleveland," Olivia snapped. 20 years of defending him, even when she hated him for leaving. "That was just gossip." "The medical examiner found something else." Grant pulled out a folder. "This is going to be difficult to hear." Olivia's chest went tight. "Your father didn't leave," the detective said gently. "He was murdered." The fluorescent lights buzzed louder, or maybe the sound was only in Olivia's head. A small caliber gunshot wound to the back of the skull, likely a .22. The angle suggests he was sitting when he was shot. He was dead before the truck entered the water. Sarah made a sound that was not quite a sob and not quite a laugh. "But the insurance money. They said he ran off. We had to use it for the house, for Olivia's college." "The case is being reopened as a homicide." Olivia stood up, sat down, and stood up again. "I need to see him." "That's not advisable. Not after 20 years underwater." "I need to see him." Grant looked at Sarah, who nodded slowly. He led them down a hallway that grew colder with each step. The morgue door was heavy steel. Inside, everything was stainless steel and white tile. 3 tables, one occupied and covered with a blue sheet. The medical examiner was a young woman who looked fresh out of school. "Family?" she asked. "His wife and daughter?" She pulled back the sheet partially, just enough to reveal the face. Olivia had prepared for horror, for decomposition, for a skull. But the cold water had done something strange, almost mummifying him. His face was leather and bone, but recognizable. The mustache he'd always refused to shave despite her mom begging him to. The scar on his chin from a loading dock accident. "That's Jake," Sarah whispered. Olivia touched the edge of the metal table. It was cold. Real. This was real. Her father had not chosen to leave. He had not chosen freedom over his family. Someone had taken that choice away. "There's something else," the medical examiner said. She held up an evidence bag containing a receipt laminated by time and water. This was in his shirt pocket from the Flying J on Interstate 70, November 8th, 11:47 p.m. 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, $8.47. "Dad never ate 2 sandwiches," Olivia said automatically. "That's what we need to discuss," Detective Grant said. Someone was with him that night, someone who was supposed to be on that run but called in sick at the last minute. His business partner, Bradley Madison. The name hit Olivia like cold water. Uncle Bradley, who had brought them Christmas presents after Dad disappeared. Uncle Bradley, who had helped Mom with the insurance paperwork. Uncle Bradley, who had sold the trucking business 5 years later and retired to his place on Hocking Hills Lake. "Bradley said Jake was depressed," Sarah said slowly. "Said he had been talking about starting over. Bradley's the one who suggested I file for the insurance." "We'll need to ask him some questions," Grant said carefully. Olivia looked back at her father's face. 20 years underwater. 20 years of birthdays, graduations, Christmases. Her wedding. All of it spent thinking he had chosen to miss them. The grief she had processed. The anger she had worked through in therapy. The acceptance she had finally found. All of it built on a lie. The truck, she said suddenly. "Can I see the truck?" "It's at the impound lot. I want to see it." The impound lot was behind the sheriff's station. Jake's Kenworth sat in a corner, water still dripping from its undercarriage. Algae covered it like a layer of green and black fur. The chrome was tarnished beyond saving, but it was his truck. The dent in the front bumper from when Olivia had hit it with her bike, the Ohio State Buckeyes sticker in the window. Grant opened the driver's door. The cab exhaled 20 years of lake water and silence. Olivia's school photo was still taped to the dashboard, protected by plastic. 8 years old, missing her front teeth, grinning. The photo he had looked at every day on his runs. "He kept it," she whispered. "There's more," Grant said. He pointed to the sleeping compartment behind the seats. His overnight bag was closed for a 3-day run. Nothing was missing except for his logbook. He always kept his logbook. Exactly. But here's the interesting thing. Grant pulled out another evidence bag containing another Flying J receipt. This was wedged under the passenger seat. Same night, same location, but a different time. 10:15 p.m. 1 coffee, 1 sandwich. Paid with a credit card. Bradley Madison. Olivia stared at the receipt. Bradley was there? It appears so, but he told investigators he was at home that night. His wife confirmed it. His wife would confirm anything, Sarah said, her voice now hard. Patricia never questioned anything. Olivia touched the truck's door. Rust flaked under her fingers. "He didn't leave us." "No," Grant said. "He didn't." "Then who has been living with this for 20 years? Olivia's voice cracked. "Who looked me in the eye at my high school graduation and said, 'Dad would be so proud'? Who came to my wedding and said it was a shame Dad couldn't walk me down the aisle?" Grant didn't answer. He didn't need to. Olivia looked at the photo on the dashboard again. Protected all these years in its plastic sleeve, waiting at the bottom of a quarry. Her father had been down there, looking at her 8-year-old face while she grew up hating him. "I want to help," she said. "Whatever you need. I want to help catch who did this." "Olivia," her mother began. "No, Mom, 20 years. Whoever did this has been walking around for 20 years while Dad was down there. While we thought..." Her voice cracked again. "I wrote him a letter when I was 12, told him I hated him, mailed it to every Jake Walker in Ohio." The sun was setting behind the impound lot fence. The truck's shadow stretched long and dark. "We'll get them," Detective Grant said. "Whoever did this, we'll get them." Olivia nodded, but she was thinking about Bradley Madison, about his smile at her wedding, about the way he had said her father would be proud, about how he had sold the trucking business and retired early, about how he had helped with the insurance that paid for her college. Blood money, all of it. Olivia couldn't sleep. 3 days had passed since they had pulled her father's truck from the quarry, and she couldn't stop seeing that receipt. 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches. She sat at her kitchen table at 3 a.m., her laptop open, searching through old newspaper archives. Twin Pines Trucking announces new routes, read an article from June 1995. Local business sees record growth, another from August of the same year, then nothing after November. No announcement about Jake Walker's disappearance. Just a small item in January 1996 about Bradley Madison taking over operations. Her phone buzzed. Her uncle, Jerry, her father's brother. "You awake?" "Yeah." "Can I come over?" Jerry looked older than his 53 years. 20 years of defending his brother's memory had worn grooves into his face. He stood in Olivia's doorway, holding a cardboard box. "Couldn't sleep either," he said. Keep thinking about what I should have seen. Olivia made coffee. Jerry set the box on the table. What's this? Everything I kept from Jake's stuff. Your mom threw most of it out, but I grabbed what I could. He pulled out a trucker's logbook, not the final one that was missing, but one from October 1995. Look at this, Jerry said. Jake's handwriting was neat and careful, with routes, times, and mileage. But in the margins were different notes. Bradley's short on money again. Covered his fuel. Jerry flipped to October 15th. Bradley asked about life insurance today. Weird question, I thought. October 22nd. Bradley's gambling again. Patricia called looking for him. Told her he was on a run. Olivia's hands tightened on the logbook. He was covering for him. Your dad was too loyal, always had been. We started Twin Pines together, all three of us, back in 1985. But Bradley never could handle money. Jerry pulled out a manila folder. I did some digging after Jake disappeared. Found these photocopies of receipts from a truck stop casino in Oklahoma. Bradley's signature. Thousands of dollars. How did you get these? A buddy of mine worked there. Bradley owed money to the wrong people, Jerry said, his jaw tightening. The kind who break fingers first and ask questions later. Did you tell the police? I tried. They said Jake probably had debts, too. Said he ran off to escape them. Jerry laughed a bitter laugh. Jake never gambled a day in his life. Wouldn't even buy lottery tickets. Olivia's phone rang. It was Detective Grant. We need you to come in, both you and Jerry, if he's there. I can hear him breathing. They drove separately to the station. Dawn was breaking, painting the sky the color of rust. The sheriff's office was already busy, deputies moving with purpose. Grant led them to an interview room where a laptop sat on the table. We pulled this from the truck's sleeping compartment. It was in a waterproof case, Grant explained. Still worked after we dried it out. He turned the screen towards them. Your father kept detailed records, spreadsheets, delivery logs, payment records, and a folder labeled Bradley. Jesus, Jerry breathed. Inside were scanned IOUs, dozens of them. Bradley Madison owed Twin Pines Trucking $47,000. The last one was dated November 1st, 1995. There's more, Grant said, clicking to another file. Insurance papers. Jake had a $500,000 life insurance policy, standard for truckers. But look at the beneficiary change form. November 5th, 1995, 3 days before Jake died. The beneficiary was changed from Sarah Walker to Twin Pines Trucking, LLC. That's not Dad's signature, Olivia said immediately. Look at the W in Walker. Dad made his W's differently. 2 separate lines. This one is connected. We noticed, Grant said. We also pulled Bradley's financial records from 1995. November 15th, 7 days after Jake disappeared. Bradley deposited $8,000 in cash. Said it was from a cargo bonus, but the company that supposedly paid it doesn't exist. Where is Bradley now? Jerry asked. Lake House. He retired there in '98 after selling the trucking business. We're heading there this afternoon. I want to come, Olivia said. That's not, Grant began. Please, Olivia pleaded. I need to see his face when you ask him. Grant studied her for a moment. You can observe from the car, that's all. The drive to Hocking Hills Lake took 2 hours. Olivia followed the sheriff's cruiser, with Jerry beside her. Neither spoke much. The hills rolled by, covered in scrub brush and cedar, the same landscape her father had driven through hundreds of times. Bradley's lake house sat on a prime lot, all glass and stone, A new boat bobbed at the private dock. Money was everywhere. 20 years of spending what he had taken. Olivia parked where Grant had indicated, far enough back, but with a clear view. She watched the detective and 2 deputies approach the door. Bradley answered, older and heavier, but still the same Uncle Bradley who had taught her to fish. He was smiling, shaking Grant's hand, playing the part of the friendly retiree. Then Grant must have explained why they were there. Bradley's body stiffened. He stepped back, shook his head, and gestured toward the lake. "He's going to run," Jerry said. But Bradley didn't run. He invited them in. The door closed. They waited 5 minutes, then 10. Olivia's phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Don't answer that," Jerry said. But she did. "Olivia?" It was Patricia Madison, Bradley's wife. Her voice was rough from decades of smoking. "Is it true about your father? They found him in the quarry?" After a long silence, she continued, "I knew. God help me, I knew something was wrong. Bradley came home that night covered in mud. He said he'd had to change a tire. But your dad's truck didn't have a flat when they found it, did it?" Olivia's heart hammered. "Patricia, I'm at my sister's in Columbus. Been here since yesterday when the sheriff called. I'm not going back. 40 years of marriage, and I'm done lying for him." "What happened that night?" "Bradley left at 9. Said he was meeting Jake about selling his share of the business. Came back at 3 in the morning. His shirt had blood on it, just a little on the sleeve. I washed it. God forgive me, I washed it." "Will you testify?" Olivia asked. A long pause. "Yes. Your father was a good man. He deserved better than what Bradley gave him. Better than what we all gave him." The line went dead. The front door of the lake house opened. Bradley came out in handcuffs. Grant was behind him. Even from 50 yards away, Olivia could see Bradley looking around, searching for something. His eyes found her car and then found her. He smiled, the same smile from her graduation and her wedding, as if he were proud of her. Jerry's hand clenched on her arm. "Don't." But Olivia was already out of the car, walking toward them. Bradley watched her approach, his smile never wavering. "Olivia, honey, don't." Her voice came out steady. "Don't you dare. Your father would be proud of you," Bradley said. "He always talked about you. Every run showing that picture, telling everyone about his little girl. You killed him." "I tried to save him. The business was failing. The debts. You don't understand what they would have done to me, to all of us. So, you shot him?" Bradley's smile finally faded. "He wouldn't take the money. Said he'd rather lose everything honest than steal from the insurance company. Stubborn fool. I offered him half to disappear. More than half. He could have started over. Sent for you later. He would never have left us." "No," Bradley agreed. "That was the problem. Jake always did the right thing, even when it was the stupid thing." Grant guided Bradley toward the cruiser, but Bradley kept talking, his voice carrying across the gravel driveway. "I helped you, paid for your college with that insurance money. Walked you down the aisle when you got married. I was there, Olivia. Where was he? He was at the bottom of a quarry where you put him." Bradley stopped walking. For a moment, his mask slipped completely. "He made me do it. If he'd just taken the money." "Get him out of here," Olivia said to Grant. They drove Bradley away. Olivia stood in the driveway, looking at the lake house built with blood money. Jerry came up beside her. "You okay?" "No." She thought about that school photo protected in plastic, waiting for 20 years in the dark. But at least now I know. He didn't leave us. He didn't choose anything else over us. He never would have, Jerry said. Your dad loved two things in this world, you and your mom. Everything else was just work. Olivia's phone buzzed. Her mom was texting from the hospital where she worked. Saw the news alert. They arrested Bradley. Are you okay? Olivia typed back. He didn't leave us, Mom. He never left us. The lake sparkled in the morning sun. Somewhere out there were the rest of the answers. Who helped Bradley move the truck? Why that specific quarry? How had he kept it a secret for 20 years? But those questions would have to wait. For now, it was enough to know that Jake Walker had been exactly who she had believed he was before that November night. A good man, a loyal partner, a father who would never abandon his family, even if it had cost him everything to stay. The Flying J on Interstate 70 hadn't changed much in 20 years. Same cracked asphalt, same flickering neon, same bell that chimed when Olivia pushed through the door. The clerk, a kid maybe 19, looked up from his phone. Can I help you? I need to talk to someone who worked here in 1995. Lady? I wasn't even born then. The owner then, the manager, anyone. The kid shrugged. Mr. Vega owns it. Has since the 80s. He comes in on Thursdays for inventory. Thursday was 3 days away. Olivia bought a coffee she didn't want and sat in her car, staring at the parking lot. Dad had sat right here on November 8th, 1995. Right here where she was parked, his Kenworth taking up 3 spaces. Bradley had been here too. They had his receipt now, 10:15 p.m., but Dad's receipt said 11:47 p.m. That gap bothered her, an hour and 32 minutes between them. Her phone rang. It was Detective Grant. Bradley's not talking, lawyered up, but we found something in his house. She heard paper rustling. A key to a storage unit. Lakeside Storage, Unit 47. His wife says he's had it since 1996. Want me to meet you there? Already here. You should see this. Lakeside Storage sat behind the old freight depot, rows of orange doors baking in the Ohio sun. Unit 47 was climate-controlled, the expensive kind. Grant had the door open, with deputies photographing everything inside. There were dozens of boxes labeled with dates. Olivia saw one marked November 1995. Can I? Gloves first, Grant said, handing her a pair of latex gloves. We think he kept records of everything. Some kind of insurance in case anyone ever came after him. Olivia opened the November box. Inside were photos of the trucks, the warehouse, shipping manifests. And at the bottom, a cassette tape labeled November 8th, 1995, JW. Jesus Christ, Grant breathed. Dad recorded his runs sometimes, Olivia said it helped him stay awake, talking through his thoughts. She held the tape like it might shatter. He must have been recording that night. They drove back to the station in silence. The evidence tech had an old cassette player, the kind Olivia remembered from childhood. The tape clicked in and then came static. Then her father's voice, alive and tired, and 20 years dead. 2300 hours, November 8th. The loading dock was a mess tonight. Bradley showed up drunk again, had to cover his... The recording cut off, then picked up again. Back on Interstate 70, Bradley followed me to the Flying J. Says he needs to talk about the business. Christ, I know what that means. More money. Patricia called Sarah yesterday. They're behind on the house. I can't keep. Another cut. 11:45 p.m. Bradley's getting in. He's pretty worked up about. Bradley's voice slurred. Just drive, Jake. Drive and listen. You're drunk. I'm desperate. There's a difference. You know what Tony Castellano does to people who owe him 47 grand? That's your problem, Bradley? No, that's our problem. He'll come after the business, after both of us. The truck engine rumbled. Olivia could hear the turn signal, the shift of gears. Bradley, what's that? Insurance papers, sign them. I'm driving. Pull over then. There's a spot up ahead, the old quarry road. Olivia's chest tightened. Jerry grabbed her hand. Her father's voice came on again. Change the beneficiary to the company? Temporary? Just till I pay off Tony? If you die, God forbid, the business gets the money, pays the debts. Everyone's safe. No, Jake, please. I said no. Put that away. What, the gun? Bradley said. You think I didn't notice? Put it away. Silence. Except for the engine. Then Bradley's voice changed, became steadier. I can't go back without this signed. Then don't go back. Call the police. File bankruptcy. Hell, I'll loan you what I can. You have $8,000? Because that's what I need by tomorrow, or they break my legs. First my legs, then my hands, then my head. Jake, sign the fucking papers. No. The turn signal again. Gravel under tires. The engine stopped. Why are we at the quarry? Her father's voice asked. Careful now. It's quiet. We need to talk this through. We can talk at the office. Get out, Bradley said. Get out! Car doors opened. Olivia could hear the wind, distant crickets, her father breathing. You're going to disappear, Bradley said. Take the truck, drive to Mexico. I'll tell everyone you ran off. The insurance pays out. I cover the debts. Everyone lives. Except my family thinks I abandoned them. Better than dead, because those are your options, Jake. You leave or what? You'll shoot me? You're not a killer, Bradley. I'm not going to die for your principles. And I'm not abandoning my daughter for your gambling debts. Footsteps on gravel, moving away from the recorder. Jake, please, Bradley begged. I'm begging you. No. They have my picture, my address. They know about Patricia. Should have thought about that before you started gambling. I was trying to make us money. The business was struggling. The business was fine until you started skimming. Silence, long enough that Olivia thought the tape had stopped. Then a sound like a firecracker, small and sharp, a thud. Bradley's voice, closer to the recorder now. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Dale, Dale, come on. I didn't mean. Oh God. Dragging sounds, grunting. Bradley sobbing. The truck door opened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You made me. You wouldn't just. The engine started. The truck began to move. Gravel, then nothing. The splash was smaller than Olivia expected. Just a splash like someone diving into a pool. Then Bradley's voice came on, very close to the recorder. November 8th, 1995, 12:47 a.m. He was trying to sound official. Jake Walker has abandoned his truck and cargo. Location unknown. I'm recovering the vehicle for Twin Pines Trucking. The tape ran out. Nobody spoke. Olivia stared at the cassette player as if it might play more, might give her father's voice back, might rewrite the ending. Jerry had his head in his hands. Even Grant looked shaken. "That's murder one," the sheriff finally said. "Premeditated. He brought the gun, picked the location." "He kept the tape," Olivia said. "Why keep it?" "In case anyone questioned the story." Grant rewound the tape carefully. "Bradley always did keep detailed records." Olivia stood up, needing air. Outside, the sun was too bright. She called her mother. "Mom, they have a tape. Dad recorded it." "What kind of tape?" "His last night. Bradley shot him. We heard it happen." Silence. Then Sarah started crying. Really crying. The kind Olivia hadn't heard since those first weeks after her dad disappeared. "He said no," Sarah managed. "He could have lived if he'd just signed, but he said no. He wouldn't leave us. That stubborn, stupid, wonderful man." Olivia watched traffic pass the station. Regular people living regular lives, not knowing that a 20-year-old murder had just been solved by a dead man's own voice. "There's going to be a trial," Olivia said. "Patricia will testify. The tape will be played." "Good. Let everyone hear it. Let them know Jake Walker died rather than abandon his family." Jerry came outside, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. He never smoked anymore. He had quit years ago. "You okay?" Olivia asked. "I wanted to hurt him," Jerry said. "When I heard that tape, I wanted to drive back to that lake house." He stopped himself. "But Jake wouldn't want that." "No." "Bradley's wife called the station. She wants to talk to you." Olivia found Patricia in interview room 2. She looked older than her 63 years. She had a box of tissues in a manila envelope. "I brought something," Patricia said. "Found it in Bradley's office when I was packing to leave." She slid out a photo. Jake and Bradley, young, maybe 25, standing in front of their first truck, both grinning with their arms over each other's shoulders. Brothers in everything but blood. "They were so close once," Patricia said. "Before the gambling, before the debts. Bradley loved your father. That's what makes this worse. He killed the only real friend he ever had." "Then why? Fear makes people into monsters. Bradley was so scared of those collectors he couldn't see past it." Patricia pulled out another item, a logbook. "This is Jake's from the truck. Bradley kept it." Olivia opened it to November 8th, 1995. The final entry in her dad's neat handwriting read, "Bradley needs help. Going to talk to him tonight about getting treatment. Maybe threaten to tell Patricia if he doesn't stop. He's sick, not bad. We can fix this." Even at the end, her dad had believed Bradley could be saved. "There's one more thing," Patricia said. She pulled out a small key. "Safety deposit box, First National Bank. Bradley doesn't know I knew about it." Olivia looked at the key. "What's in it?" "The rest of the insurance money. What he didn't spend on debts. He saved it. Can you believe that? Like he was keeping it for Jake to come back." Patricia laughed a bitter laugh. $130,000 just sitting there for 20 years. It's yours. Yours and your mother's. I already talked to the lawyers." Olivia stared at the key. Blood money, Jerry had called it, but also college tuition, Mom's mortgage, 20 years of survival. "He said Dad would be proud of me at my wedding." "Jake would be proud," Patricia said, "but not because Bradley walked you down the aisle, because you never stopped defending him. Even when everyone said he'd left, you defended him." Olivia thought about that 8-year-old in the photo, grinning with missing teeth. She'd grown up without him, but she'd grown up loyal to his memory. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was all any of us could do. Stay loyal to the people we love, even when they're gone, even when the world tells us to let go. Maybe that's what Jake had given her by saying no to Bradley that night. Not just his presence, but proof that some things matter more than money, more than fear, more than survival. Some things are worth dying for, even if it takes 20 years to understand what they were. Thursday morning came, gray and humid. Olivia sat in the Flying J parking lot, watching Jerry Vega unlock the door. He was 70-something, walked with a cane, but his eyes were sharp when she introduced herself. "Walker," he said slowly. "Jake Walker's girl. You remember him?" "I remember that night. FBI, insurance investigators, reporters, everyone wanted to see those tapes. I kept them for years before I finally recorded over them." He led her inside, past the chips and beer coolers. "Your dad was a regular good man, always exact change. The tapes from that night showed him buying 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches, that's all. Bradley wasn't in the frame, stayed by the trucks." Jerry pulled out a cloth, started wiping the counter. "But there was something else. I never told anyone because they never asked the right question." Olivia leaned forward. "What question?" "They all wanted to know what happened. Nobody asked about what happened before. Bradley had come in at 10:30, alone. And he bought gas. Paid cash. But I saw him on the security camera. He was wearing a hat that said, 'Moose's Plumbing,' from a local business. The police never checked the video because they were too busy listening to what his wife Patricia told them, that he was at home." Jerry finished wiping the counter. "I was a young man then. I should have told them. But I thought, it's not my place to get involved. A man's wife is his business, right?" "What did he do?" "Nothing. He left a few minutes later. I didn't think anything of it. It was a cold night. I figured he went home." Jerry shook his head. "And your dad came in an hour later, bought the 2 sandwiches and coffee, and left. I thought, oh, good. Jake finally got a break. He has a passenger." Olivia felt a sickness in her stomach. "You saw Bradley go home, but the tape from the truck proves he didn't. He came in at 10:30, then left a few minutes later only to go back and wait for your father an hour and a half later. Why?" Olivia thought about it. He wanted to check on Jake's location. He wanted to make sure he was alone. Grant met Olivia at the county building. Jerry's statement had given him probable cause for a search warrant. They found what they were looking for in Bradley's home office, a notebook detailing the plan, the date, and the time. 11:47 p.m. at the quarry, Jake's route, and a list of Tony Castellano's demands. "He's the money. Tony is the muscle. They've been laundering money through the trucking industry for years." Grant gestured to the notebook. "Bradley's journal. It's filled with everything. All of it. The whole time, all the years, he was writing it all down." Olivia felt a knot in her throat. "What about Tony?" "Tony Castellano," Grant said. "Castellano Trucking. He's the guy who runs things. Bradley just laundered the money through him. This explains a lot. Tony was the one who was going to break Bradley's legs. And who Tony was working for." Grant hesitated. "It gets deeper. We're talking organized crime. The people who made Tony into who he is, they've been hiding in plain sight." Olivia's mind reeled. Her father had been caught up in something so much bigger than just a business deal. He hadn't just been murdered for money. He'd been killed because he wouldn't be part of a conspiracy. "What do we do?" "We're going to use what we have," Grant said. "We're going to go to the FBI. They're the only ones big enough to take on an organization like this. We're also going to need you to come with us. This is where it gets dangerous. You have the tape. You have the journal. We need you to tell your story, to talk to the FBI. Olivia's hands trembled. She thought about her dad, about the last time she'd seen him, about the smile on his face. She thought about Bradley, about the way he had looked at her, about his lies. I'll do it. Grant's face was grim. This could get ugly. It's already ugly. It's been ugly for 20 years. The next morning, Olivia, Jerry, and Grant met with 2 FBI agents in a small conference room in Columbus. The agents, 1 woman and 1 man, listened patiently as Olivia told her story. She showed them the tape, played the logbook entry, and gave them the journal. They listened to the recording, their faces emotionless, their eyes focused. When the tape ended, the male agent, a man named Pete, looked at Olivia with something like pity in his eyes. We know who this Tony is. Tony the Jaw Castellano. He's a local legend. Why the Jaw? Olivia asked. He talks when he needs to, Pete said. He knows who signs his checks. He then told her about a man named Jack Morrison. Jack and Tony were partners since 1979. Tony was the muscle. Jack was the money. They used trucking companies to move product from Mexico and clean businesses for dirty money. Pete pulled out a cigarette, laughed at the irony, and lit it anyway. Your dad's company was perfect. Small, family-run, good reputation. So they targeted him. They tried to buy in first. Your dad said no. Then they went after Bradley. Knew he was weak. Got him in debt. Used that as leverage. But Bradley loved my father, Olivia said. That's why it worked. Tony knew Bradley would do anything to protect Patricia, even kill his best friend. Pete took a long drag. But your dad figured it out. The week before he died, he went to see Jack. Olivia's breath caught. Dad confronted Morrison? November 1st. I was there, sitting in Jack's office. Your dad walked in, told Jack to leave Twin Pines alone. Jack laughed, said truckers were replaceable. What did Dad say? That he'd go to the FBI, had evidence of the drug running. Jack told him to go ahead. Who'd believe a trucker over the town's biggest employer? Pete dropped the cigarette. Your dad left. Jack turned to me and Tony, said, "Fix this." 1 week later, your dad was dead. You were there when they planned it? I gave Tony the idea about the quarry. My uncle worked there in the 70s, told me about the deep spots that never got mapped. Pete coughed hard. I've been carrying that for 20 years. Pete muttered. They followed you. Or you. Does it matter? He pulled out a revolver. Get behind the car. The vehicle stopped in a triangle, boxing them in. Men got out. Olivia recognized one from Castellano Trucking. Then Jack Morrison himself stepped into the light. 70 years old, silver-haired, wearing a suit that cost more than most people's cars. Pete, he said pleasantly, you should be in hospice. Wanted some fresh air, Pete replied. And Miss Walker, your father had that same stubborn look right before we discussed his future. Olivia stood up. You ordered his murder. I suggested Bradley solve his problem. How he did it was his choice. Morrison smiled. Just like you chose to come here tonight. People know where I am. No, they don't. You came alone. Just like your father always worked alone. Walker family tradition. Noble stupidity. Pete raised his gun. 3 others raised theirs. Here's what happens, Morrison said. Pete shoots himself. Guilt over all those years of violence. You disappear. Another Walker who couldn't handle the truth about Daddy. Tragic. Maria Rodriguez has evidence. She'll talk. Morrison checked his watch. Maria's truck just jackknifed on Route 10. Brake line failure. Terrible accident, though. She'll probably survive, if you cooperate. Olivia's phone was recording in her pocket, but Morrison noticed her hand. Phone now. She handed it over. He dropped it, crushed it under his heel. Your father thought he was smart, too. Recordings, evidence, backup plans. He made all the right moves. He just didn't realize who he was playing against. You can't outsmart people who will do anything to win. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the game. Olivia's eyes were hot with anger. You're a sociopath. I'm a businessman. You're a woman with a baby, right? That's what Pete told me. A baby. That's a powerful incentive to cooperate. What would you tell your child if they asked you about their grandfather? Pete fired. The shot echoed across the abandoned lot. One of Morrison's men fell, clutching his arm. Run! Pete yelled. Another shot rang out. Olivia didn't wait. She turned and ran. Her feet pounded on the hard-packed dirt, her lungs burning, the taste of fear in her mouth. She scrambled over a fence, through a ditch, and into a field. The sound of shouting faded behind her. She kept running, the baby a weight in her womb, a reminder that she had to keep going. She reached her car, fumbled for the keys, and got in, her hands shaking. The engine started on the third try. She drove, not toward the police station, not toward home, but in the opposite direction, toward the only person she could trust. Her mother. Sarah was in her kitchen, making coffee. She looked up at Olivia's wild-eyed face. What happened? They're coming for us. They know everything. The police, the FBI, everyone. I need to get out of town. We both do. Olivia pulled out a small key from her pocket, the one Patricia gave her. Bradley gave me this. It's for a safety deposit box. He said it was for me and Mom. It's the rest of the insurance money. We have to go. Now. Where do we go? I don't know, Olivia said, but we have to. They'll kill us, just like they killed Dad. They will not stop. Sarah's face went white. She grabbed a small bag and ran out the door. The two women drove toward the highway, not looking back. Olivia's phone rang. It was Detective Grant. Where are you? We've lost track of you. We need to go back. We need to get you somewhere safe. I'm not going back, Olivia said. I can't. I'm taking my mom somewhere safe, somewhere no one can find us. That's a mistake. They'll find you. They'll always find you. You can't outrun them. We'll see about that. Olivia hung up. She looked at her mother, who sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window, a look of grim determination on her face. Your father would be proud of you, Sarah said. He always wanted us to be safe, and now we are. We will be, Olivia said. We will be. They drove on, past the turnoffs, past the gas stations, past the towns that looked just like the one they'd left behind. The highway stretched ahead, endless and full of possibility. The baby in her womb, the knowledge that Jake Walker had been exactly who she'd always believed he was, a good man who'd faced an impossible choice and chosen his family over his life. The highway stretched ahead, endless and full of possibility. Somewhere behind her, they were still pulling bodies from quarries, still arresting Morrison's network, still untangling 20 years of lies. But Olivia was done looking back. She turned on the radio. Country music, something modern she didn't recognize. But then the old song came on, the one Dad used to sing. She found herself harmonizing, remembering the words, feeling him there in the cab with her more than all the stars in Ohio. The baby kicked for the first time, a tiny flutter barely noticeable. But Olivia felt it, life asserting itself, the future demanding attention. She sang louder, windows down, Ohio wind whipping her hair, Jake Walker's daughter carrying Jake Walker's grandchild, driving toward whatever came next. Not running from anything, just moving forward the way truckers do. Mile by mile, load by load, song by song. In her rearview mirror, the town disappeared, but Dad's voice stayed with her, preserved in tape and memory and DNA. A ghost, maybe, but a welcome one. The kind that helps you find your way home, even when home is somewhere you've never been. She drove on, chasing daylight, carried by 18 wheels worth of dreams. The road went on forever, just the way Dad would have wanted it.